A tough pill to realize about liberation is that appealing strictly to morality often isn't effective enough. Simply put, people who are being oppressed not for a strictly moral reason. Usually it's financially related, and oftentimes what you have to do is demonstrate to these people who are discriminating or who are oppressing people that they have better financial interest in not oppressing those people in order to get them to change their minds. Like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, when she was fighting for women's rights in the 1970s, she knew that by fighting directly for women's rights, it wouldn't be as effective. So what she did was she found male plaintiffs, and she helped demonstrate that discrimination against women can be also discrimination against men. And because of that, she won more cases by appealing to the fact that men were being discriminated against, which then opened the door for women's rights. The 13th Amendment that ended slavery, it didn't pass because it was simply the right thing to do. It passed because a lot of people were bribed to vote for it. And whether you like it or not, that's what you have to do in order to get certain things done, because people were making too much money off of slavery and they didn't want to give it up. The same thing with the civil rights movement. Jackie Robinson wasn't picked to break the color barrier in the MLB simply because it was the right thing to do. He was picked because he would be so good that people couldn't ignore him, and because he would increase ticket sales. And because of that, because it was undeniable that he was a good baseball player, he broke the color barrier. And the main reason behind that, according to Branch Rickey, was largely to sell tickets. It's the same thing with the Montgomery bus boycotts. There were about 5 different plaintiffs that they could have built a case around, but they built a case around Rosa Parks specifically because she had the best optics, and therefore they had the best chance of ending desegregation with her. In 1970, a coach wanted to end racial segregation in the South when it came to NCAA football. However, the best way for him to do this was to start an all-white team in Alabama who played against USC, and they lost terribly. And because they lost, the door started opening for people to get black players in NCAA football in the South. In a more recent case in 2015, there was a Obergefell v. Hodge, and they had multiple plaintiffs for the case of same-sex marriage, but they largely leaned on cases of people who had lived together for a very long time who wanted to be on each other's death certificates, not necessarily young people who wanted to get married. And it worked. The reality is that if you are not motivated to do something on strictly moral grounds, then you aren't likely to change your mind with an appeal to morality. Oftentimes it's a mixture. You have to appeal to morality while also providing some degree of financial or personal incentive. And that's just the hard truth of it all. In order to end discrimination, we had to prove to people that they could make more money by not discriminating against people. And it worked. It was effective, whether you like it or not.